like, now I just want, on the weekend, I just want to roam around inside my palazzo pants. And
Oh
just, and
my.
they're not called palazzo. They're like
Yeah.
just, they're just really, they're wide, but they're really cool. And it's like, I just want everything flying around and getting air and, just nothing constricted.
All right.
So you ready to shut this one down?
Shut it down.
Okay, well, you sure?
Oh, am I doing it or you doing
No,
it?
I'll do it.
You do it.
You do it.
I don't want to do it.
Well, thanks for spending quality time with us, and join us next time as we roll down the alley of life with a bowling ball glued to our thumbs. What? Down the
With a what?
alley of life with a bowling ball glued to our thumbs.
That sounds painful. Don't blow on it.
It's so enticing, though.
Hey, Don.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I've noticed that my hair turned out really high and closer to God today. I don't know how.
I love it.
I just pulled it out of the dishwasher, shook it out, and snapped it on my head.
And I've asked this before, I'm going to ask again. You don't color your hair, do you?
If I had a nickel for every time somebody asked me, no, I do not. So I'm blessed.
Because I had my first gray hair at 14, so I've had gray for a while.
Well, hey, we're all at different phases in our journey.
That's right.
So what are we talking about today, Gary?
So talk about journey and maybe planning ahead for things. So we're going to talk about a living trust and a will and other things that maybe people at our age should already have in place. If you haven't, you need to get on it.
Yep.
So that's what we're talking about.
Okay, well, I got lots to add to that because I did my homework.
Oh, you've highlighted notes. That's good.
You're right, I highlighted it. I was going to use the highlighter as no, never mind, it's a long story. Okay, we'll be right back.
The hair still looks good,
I
Don.
can't stop playing with it.
Well, welcome back, everyone, listeners and viewers of YouTube. I'm Gary. He's Don. Welcome to this episode of Don and Gary Doin 60. We're here to unwrap and unpack navigating the world at this age. As the title suggests, that would be age 60. And I admit to being 60. Actually, I'm 62.
Yeah. Yeah, we got
I
that.
can't speak for Don.
You
But
cannot.
you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other fabulous platforms where you pod. We're on Instagram at Don and Gary Doin 60. And new for this podcast is you can see us on YouTube. For those who want to see and hear us, well, there you go. Join us under the channel of Pfeiffer Podcast Productions. And in there you will find, among other things, Don and Gary Doin 60. That's a mouthful.
It was close. It's Pfeiffer Pod. And it's Pfeiffer Pod. But hey, this is your first time on the job. It's okay.
Well, you know what? No, I looked on YouTube and I thought one of the graphics said Pfeiffer Podcast Productions.
Okay. Well,
Whatever.
that's the company that I am the CEO of. So yes, whatever. I mean, they'll find
And
it.
one of many.
They're smart people. They'll find it.
Anyway, no matter whether you listen to us or watch us, we'd love for you to like and subscribe. Comments are welcome. And you can also email us at donandgarydoin60@gmail.com. So how's that for an intro?
That was good. You did really well. I should let you do it more often.
It's written down on the page. I just need to follow it. I do have one little gossip, maybe a little complaining about something that happened today to me before I got to the pod. You and I both know about customer service because we've both worked in retail stores in our youth, and we know what customer service used to be. It's not like that anymore, sadly.
Right.
So I decided I was going to stop by a trilogy of stores because I wanted to buy a couple pair of jeans because the ones I have are big, and I thought, I need to get some jeans. So I won't give you the names of the stores because, that would be rude.
Can you see what it rhymes with?
Well, one of them is not the Bop. The other one is not Young Army, and the other one is not Papaya Republic. So all three are lined up together near my house. So I first went into Papaya. No, excuse me. I first went into Young Army.
Mm-hmm.
A couple people, friendly staff, but they were chatting the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
I walked in, I walked over, I walked past them. They just kept chatting. I left.
Yep.
Then I went into Papaya Republic. There were 2 employees in the store, and I think 1 customer. No one acknowledged me. No one said hi. No one, can I help you? Nothing. I left that store.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't go into the BOP because I figured, well, 2 out of 3, I'm done. Bye.
Well, let me ask you this. When you go in, do you need help or do you prefer to shop on your own, or what are you looking for?
Well, there are times where when you walk in, they say, hi, welcome to blah, blah, blah. Can I help you?
Right.
If I need help, I'll say, yeah, I'm looking for X, so they can point me in the right direction. Otherwise, if I'm just browsing around, I'm like, no, I'm good. You know, if I need help, I'll go to them. But it's just nice to be acknowledged. Even if it's a hi, welcome, something. But, I mean, in the first store, they did say hi, but that was about it. And I don't know, is this the new thing, or the hands-off approach?
I believe it's a generational thing. And I also think that retail is something that the children no longer want to take part in because it doesn't pay very well. B, retailers ask a lot of employees. They always have, having been in the rag trade myself a number of years. And I think that it's one of those generational things too, where a lot of time a lot of things factor into it. I think people are used to shopping online, so they just check things out and say, where's this? Or they do their ordering online, because I know I've ordered a lot from the BOP too, or from Papaya Republic. I've ordered definitely from them. But it's a lot easier to order and just return via the returning systems that we have.
Right.
So I can literally go to Staples, drop off what I didn't like at Papaya, and it's done in a bag. Yes, I get it. But also, here's the other thing. I think the downfall was part of the self-service checkout lanes that were put in place. Plus, probably retailers don't have as much money to spend on staffing. Where did you find these 3 stores? Where were you?
Right here in my neighborhood.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're one right next. They're all like one big building, but separate stores, one next to the other, next to the other.
They're not the ones off of Powell Street. Those are gone, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
Off of the Embarcadero.
Oh, really? Okay, gotcha.
They opened a couple years ago.
Got it. I didn't know that.
Allegedly.
Well, apparently not going to be open for long.
But anyway, I digress.
So how did you feel about that, though? Was that enough to make you say, I'm not going to shop here?
No, well, one, I'm not a big shopper. I don't go to stores a lot. What happened was I did go to the store I normally purchase clothes from, which are like the big boy store. And I kind of walked out there with a smile because I looked at jeans and everything they had was too big for me.
Good for you.
They didn't have my size.
Good.
And, they were low in inventory, so maybe they would have had my size, but they don't now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, no problem. So then I went to another store that's more, I don't know, it's Kohl's. It's a more like moderate price, and they have a lot of jeans. But again, then I couldn't find anything. Everything was too small. Like I went up to like maybe the size right below me, but it didn't find my size. I'm like, okay, so one was too big, one was too small. Now I need one that's just right. Okay, so since I was going to be walking past these stores today, I thought, you know what, on my way home, I will stop in. I did a quick check. They didn't have a lot in terms, it was probably like just below my size. So the search goes on.
Okay. I got one more question for you. I hear you. I hear you. I completely agree with you. How do you feel about trying on so many clothes? Because jeans is hard. And because every jean fits differently, and even Papaya Republic, you try on the same size and they fit differently. So, it's a hassle. It's a big hassle.
Well, that's why, I have bought clothes online, but you really need to try them on because, like you said, one brand versus another will fit differently. A lot of jeans are relaxed fit or loose fit, whatever. I don't want baggy jeans, because for me, it feels heavier and I walk around going, there's too much material down there. So I'd rather get something more fitted, more, boot cut or fitted, whatever. Yep. But you need to try it on.
I have to admit to something. You know who Billie Eilish is, right?
Yes.
Okay, well, she started a trend a long time ago that the children are wearing that I hate to say that I bought into now. It's basically they're very wide pants.
Yeah.
And I bought a lot of them because I like them. I call them my palazzo pants.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've got all those other jeans that are remember skinny jeans? It's like, I can't keep
Well, I never wore skinny jeans.
Well, I'm not skinny, and I'm not a skinny jean guy, but they have the other ones that have like a lot of stretch in them and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And I've got some of those for work and whatever. But it's like now I just want on the weekend I just want to roam around inside my palazzo pants and they're
My.
not called palazzo. They're like
Yeah.
just they're just really they're wide, but they're really cool. And it's like I just want everything flying around and getting air and just nothing constricted.
Well, on that note,
On that note. Hey everybody, it's Don from Don and Gary Doin 60, and we're excited to share our new website and the relaunching of our Facebook page. Our website has some fantastic features we know you're going to love. We're hosted by our friends at Podpage. The website and Facebook links are listed on the notes below. You can write us a review. Just click on the episode and leave us comments for Apple Podcasts or Spotify. We love voicemail. Just click the microphone at the bottom of the page and let us know how much you love the show or maybe how I'm so much more funny than Gary. You can find all our videos and shorts on one page, and we have a blog where we list links to our sources, photos of our guests, and notes about the show. And finally, we're launching our Facebook page. We all love Facebook, and here's the place to find upcoming episodes, funny shorts, clips, and the latest scoop on the podcast. So what you waiting for? Come on in. The water's fine.
shall we jump to our main topic?
Let's jump in. I've got some stuff here. It's actually very timely that you brought this one up because we're both actually working on this, I think.
Right. And for me, really, it all started quite a while ago when my dad passed away in 2010. Obviously, we were spending a lot of time at the cemetery and at the funeral home and all that. Mm-hmm. And whether they brought up the conversation or I just thought about it, it's like these are things that I need to plan for, right? In terms of where's my final resting place going to be? And they say it's super expensive. And I'm always about planning. With all the volunteer work I do, it's about planning. For work, you need to plan ahead what you're going to do. So I kind of take that to heart and say, I'd rather plan for it now and pay in installments, if you will. So it's not such a big financial hit at once. You don't want to wait till something's already happened and then everyone's at a loss. Like, what do we do? What would he have wanted us to do?
Yep.
Right. So I started with that. So in the cemetery where my father is, he was in the military. So when back in the 50s, the government approached veterans and said, hey, we can give you a burial plot at Skylawn up in, up on 92 in San Mateo. Mm-hmm. You as a veteran get one for free. Mm. And then you can buy a second one for your spouse at a discounted price. So he did that back in the 50s.
Okay.
So skip ahead. So he's there. My mom already, she knows she's going there. But then in talking to the person at Skylawn, I'm basically going to sublease for my mom.
Okay, you might want to break that one out or unpack that a minute.
Well, she's going to be cremated and I will be cremated. So we can share one space.
Okay, so you're going to be bunked.
So I had to basically buy into it.
So they sublease us a plot?
Well, I mean, it's her space,
right.
And I'm basically going to share it with her. So I had to, they drew up a contract, and I had to make payments over X amount of years to pay for it. So that's all paid and done for.
Okay.
The next thing, so that's the burial. But then there's the funeral service, mm-hmm. And then there's the headstone. Mm-hmm. So those are 2 additional costs. So last year, I went back to Skylawn and said, hey, let's talk about the burial part. Because again, I'd rather pay for it over time. It's taking from May of last year to May of this year, and I'm doing it in installments. So by May this year, the funeral part of it will be done. So all I have left is the headstone. Because it's a chunk of change.
Sure, absolutely. And you also want it to be you want it to be, they have to spell your name to make sure it's spelled correctly. Let's start with that, because I always get it wrong.
Right.
So, and you have to check it and all that stuff.
Right. So that process started in my late 40s. Mm-hmm. Right. So I was already doing that. The living trust and will I did in 2011. And I guess that was a year after my dad passed. So I think it was all in that same thing about organizing and planning. And when we were kids, there was just a will. And basically, when the person died, they said, you get this, you get that. But then somewhere down the line, the living trust came into play. So I was looking at, just so I can better understand what a living trust is versus a will. So, a living trust is a type of estate planning document that serves two primary functions. First, it specifies who will manage your assets during your lifetime, whereas the will only deals with once you're dead, right? So, in a living trust, in my living trust, I'm the trustee. It's in my name. But then I can assign people to help me manage it in the event that I become incapacitated while I'm still alive.
Right.
And so those are called successor trustees.
Mm-hmm.
So you name one or two or even up to three people as successor trustees. So so they will manage your assets during your lifetime, including if you become incapacitated, as well as after your death. Second, it determines who will inherit your assets after you die and under what circumstances. So I have both. Do you have both a will and a living
Yeah, and
trust?
just to chime in here too, because a living trust is something you can always adjust and change.
Right.
Your will is the last.
Revocable living trust.
Yes, and that's a whole other thing where we could talk about that too. But yes, I mean, the beauty of having both is that you can make changes to your living trust to change the asset allocation, beneficiaries, all those kinds of things can actually change, I believe.
And that's what I'm doing now.
Yes.
That like originally executed it in 2011. And this was after I'd purchased my condo. And maybe I didn't know, or I just did, I was off track. Never put my condo in the name of the living trust.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been thinking about this for like over a year. It's on my to-do list. I got to do it. And
Yep.
I pulled all my paperwork and I said, you need to do it now.
Good for
So
you.
I'm in the process of changing the living trust changing the condo into the name of the living trust.
Yep.
I'm updating my beneficiaries and successor trustees and such, and just kind of tweaking things here and there.
Right. And something you want to avoid with this whole discussion is probate, because you don't want to have anything, whoever you are deigning these things to go to eventually or to be distributed by, you don't want it to go into the courts so it gets tied up there, because there's a huge chunk of change that comes out of that too.
Right. And see, that's the word it kept throwing out, and I didn't know. So what is probate? Probate is a legal process that occurs after a death. In most cases, probate is a key part of settling the estate of a deceased person. In fact, probate may also be referred to as estate administration. And there's a cost involved because you have to go to court. They have to review it. So there's court costs. So by having a living trust, it negates having anything going through probate.
Well, let me ask you something, because I learned a lot of this too when you were going through this. But when my parents passed away too, I had literally, and I've got a copy of it right here. It's a typed will, typed from my parents originally, and then they also had a living trust addended to it as an addendum later to it. But it was interesting because for me, not all the assets like you're doing right now, changing to your revocable trust. Is that right?
Yeah.
You're changing over to your revocable trust. When my parents passed away, there were a lot of assets were not posted on that trust.
Okay.
So luckily, because I'm the only heir, there was no question about whether it'd be divided up or where it was
Right.
going. So luckily, there was a revocable trust already established prior to that. So any assets I found were eventually placed into that revocable trust. So there was a lot of things to learn. But also, I guess what to our point talking here is, I think it's great you're doing this now. I'm doing the same thing because you don't want to have missing assets somewhere that are not accounted for, right? And it's a bit of work, isn't it, to get it all together?
Well, yeah, it is to get it all together. And, I need to I've got some life insurance policies.
Yep.
And what they suggest is list the living trust as one of the secondary beneficiaries.
Really interesting. Okay.
Right. So you can have your primary beneficiaries, which in my case would be like my brothers. But then it says also list that. So I have to call them and do that. I tried to do it online. I just want to double check.
I want to thank you in advance for leaving me all of your diamond tennis bracelets.
Well, there's only one.
Well, I'll take that one then. Thanks.
But it's a big ass bracelet.
But no, I think, I know it's tedious in a way to do it, but it also, there's a lot of things that actually strikes up different feelings too, because we're also talking about our mortality.
Right.
We're talking about as efficient as you are and as good as you are as being organized and planning. It kind of made me start thinking about, oh gosh, I'm planning things around my death.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things where you have to take a look at the allocations and things like that too. But what's interesting to me, if you don't mind my jumping in here, is that I've taken a look at this. There's actually some statistics that go along with this.
Okay.
Did you know that only 33% of all Americans have an estate plan?
Wow.
3.
Wow.
67% of people do not have an estate plan or a living trust. And I think it's one of those things that you just don't think about until you are either the recipient of something from a trust or a will, or if you have it lying around like we both did. And we're getting to that point where we start thinking about those things because eventually we're going to start about financial planning. And that's another thing that basically plans out your life, your
Right.
remaining years. Luckily, when we get to that, my financial planners had built me out to be 93 years old before I die. So I'm just going to stick with that. But it's still hard. You have to start questioning these things, and also
Right.
with your beneficiaries. And we don't want to know specifics, but you're determining who's getting what and how much of that they're getting. And it's kind of a tough decision to make because you're also, I'm assuming, planning who, as you said, would take care of your distribution or your assets if you at one time became incapacitated
Right.
in any way, right?
Yeah.
Not fun stuff to talk about, right?
No, but what you don't want to do is leave someone else who you've put in charge of your estate to wonder what would he want us to do.
Yes.
If
Yes.
you have these documents, you know exactly what they want to do.
Yes. And it is a legal document, so there's no
But
question.
yeah, for sure. Legal document. And if you haven't done one, it's good to start. If it's been a while since you've done it, it's probably good to update it.
Can I ask you?
Just
are
because you know laws may have changed wherever
Yes.
you live.
Yes. And also
New
you
things
might
you
have
didn't
changed
think
your
about.
mind. You might have
What's
changed
that?
your mind about something.
Yeah.
You might have said, you know what, I don't think that allocation is right, or I would prefer this to happen, or something happens. But I was going to ask you, are you doing this with the help of a lawyer? Or are you doing this with electronic?
So back in 2011, I went to the same law firm that my parents were using
Yep.
to do theirs. And one of my brothers also did. So in conjunction, we kind of been updating ours. Coincidentally, today he took my mom to update a part of hers.
Okay.
And so, because it had been so long since I'd been in touch with them and there'd been some merging of law firms and such, he gave me the contact information of the lawyer he's working with and gave her a heads up that, hey, my brother Gary's going to be in touch with you soon.
Right.
So they're the law firm that did our original documents.
Yep.
So they have it. Now it's what I'm doing is I've scanned in, like tweak this, change this, add this, and I'm just going to scan it in and email it to her and say,
Lovely.
there you go. And then I'll have to go in afterwards, obviously, sign everything in person. But
Sure. And the lovely thing, I mean, that's wonderful because one of our future guests, Tanya, who and I used to work with, had referred her. It's a long story, but her lawyer, my lawyer that I worked with when Tanya was working with him, has actually retired. So it's one of those things where it's a good thing to maybe go to the offices of the person if they are still practicing law to do this. But I think, there's also interesting that there are a lot of electronic tools now that can actually do this for us too, where you can, LegalZoom is one of them. And the way we were doing ours is through an electronic service that was provided by my other half's company.
okay.
So they provide that service free of charge for them as being an employee. So it was a nice, interesting way to put all the ducks in a row. It's also interesting, if I could join with another statistic, it's
Sure.
that I was looking at some, like the age of people that have wills. So if you're 18 to 34, 24% of people might have a will. If you're 72 or above, 81% of those people probably have a will. And then, people in the middle, around 55, maybe half of them have a will. So it's interesting how we tend to think of these things later on. Not that we're later, but we're on the other act of this life of ours.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because, I think it's very important. It's interesting because you also have siblings, and have you compared notes with each other about how you're doing this, or is this?
Yes, the one brother that he and I are the ones that have, been chatting more frequently. He shared with me copies of his, and we're like successor trustees, and on the will it's power of attorney, those things. We're each other's on our wills and
That's great.
living trust,
You've all
right?
agreed to that, obviously. So that's good.
Right, yeah. So when I was going to make some tweaks on mine, I checked in with him. He goes, well, here, let me show you what I did. And he emailed me his documents. So okay, well, yeah, that's what I want to do too. So yeah, we do compare notes, which is good. And I will say that today, one of the appointments I had was an in-person meeting with one of the guys from an investment company where I have one of my 401ks. We've met previously virtually, but this is the first time in person. So, that came up in conversation with the living trust and such. And I told him I'm tweaking it. And they have their team of specialists. And he says, well, if you want, I can make an appointment with you with Patty, who's an estate planner within our company, and she'll know she can review it, this and that. So they, take advantage of the resources that are available to you to have them look, give a once over or do whatever. So
Now, does this company manage your assets also? Are they your financial planner?
yeah, so I have two different retirement accounts.
Okay.
So they manage one of them.
Got it.
And then the other one is a profit share, 401k,
Okay.
that I share with them, because they want to look at the big picture.
Yes.
And today we talked about, goals. And when you mentioned that your plan to live to be 93, when we pulled up my profile, yeah, I'm at 93. I said, look, Dad lived to be 92. Mom is going to be 98.
Right.
Because should we bump up your age? I go, all right, make it 95.
Well, I thought we were pushing it in 93.
Yeah.
I mean, that's with out any catastrophic events,
Right.
obviously. Right. But
Yeah.
it's kind of those things where, we've known each other for 100 years now, but it's like I don't remember ever thinking about this stuff that much before.
No.
We
No.
never thought this in our 20s and 30s and 40s. It's like, I mean, well, you did. You started thinking.
Well,
in the 40s,
again,
right?
but mine was prompted by my dad's death. Did you have something already before your parents passed away?
I did not, and that's why I did have, a financial planner. But what this all forces us to do, everybody, is making these plans forces you into thinking about how much money am I going to need to live past till we're 93 or 95 in your case.
Right. I mean, if we're retiring at 65 or 67, you have to have a help with someone who knows this to help you map out if you're thinking you're going to live to be 93, let's look at how much Social Security you're going to get.
Yep.
What kind of money can you draw from your accounts? Do you have other income coming in? For me, I've got the two retirement plans, and then obviously I'll get Social Security. The only asset that's not mine is the family home.
Okay.
Right. So when my mom passes, there's four of us. I have three siblings. So realistically, we'd sell the house and each of us would get 25% of whatever that is. So I have that in my, in the back of my head is like, okay, that's additional funds. But other than that, I don't have anything else. I don't have any other properties, any other assets. It's just it. And some people may not even have that.
Right. But let me ask you something. Did all of this stir up any emotions in you? Did it make you uneasy? Did it make you sad? Did it make you...
No, not at
Right.
all. I think because it just was, to me, it seemed to be just a smart thing to do,
Yeah.
to plan.
Yeah.
So I never looked at the dark side of, oh my God, how old am I going to live to, and will I have money? I don't think of it that way. I just think of it's just a smart thing to do, so you're not caught off guard.
I wonder if people don't like to do it because it does force you to make some decisions based on your mortality.
Right,
I wonder if
right.
people stay away from it because it's uncomfortable for them, because you're basically planning, how long you're going to live, like we said before. So I wonder if, like, of course the kids think they're going to live forever, right?
Right.
So they don't want to bother with it. But I think sometimes people like us, because I have to be honest, it kind of did stoke the fires a little bit, saying, oh my gosh, I'm planning this date, this age, literally and legally, to be gone. It's like, oh God. So interesting thought. I did not plan yet, I think, the fact about whether or not to be cremated or not and where I would go. So I'm just going to hike up with you and your mom, if that's okay.
Okay, well then next time you're up in the Bay Area, we'll talk about you subleasing from me.
Sublease is sublease,
We'll work out a contract.
right?
No, but do you don't know whether you'll be cremated or not? Do you know where your final resting place will be?
Don't have a resting place, and I most likely will be cremated. I believe that was part of the directives in my, it's part of the directives in the will. So yes.
But you don't know whether it's down there in Southern California or up here where your parents are. Your parents are up here, I assume, yes?
They're in Colma, and actually my dad was in the Navy also, so he actually has the same situation where we were in Colma. He was offered a free spot, and my mom joined him next to it, but there's no more room left.
Come on, just squeeze it.
I think they're going to sublease me a space in Colma. So that's an interesting thought. I'll have to put some thought into that.
Okay, well, I don't want to pry, but have you and your husband talked about it? Because he's from the East Coast, you're from the West Coast.
That's a good point. We did start to talk about it, but we haven't made decisions yet. So it's
Yeah.
going to be very interesting. I'll just let him
Yeah.
know I'm bunking with you and your mom, and he'll be fine with it.
Okay. Well, maybe not next to her because she might run you over. So you might have to be, I'll be the buffer.
She's still around to be able to do that. But yeah,
Yeah.
I guess I did. It just starts making you think. You reflect a little bit. I did reflected a little bit about okay, gosh, this is a plan. This is a serious, but in a way, it's a little bit hopeful. I think because like okay, I have a plan. That's the good part.
Well, and the downside of that is if you're someone that has not done any of this and
Mm,
has not thought about, am I going to have enough money for when I die, and just kind of wait and see what happens,
mm,
I think the worst thing that could happen is that you get to a certain age and maybe if you have, let's assume you don't have any kids, so it's just and your partner's passed, whatever, it's just you.
mhm,
You don't have anyone to reach out to. I can't move in with my son. I
right,
can't move in with my brother, type of
right.
thing, to help with expenses. So, it just seems like you'd be lost.
And unfortunately, that is very true for a lot of the country, I have to say. I
Yeah.
think, not everyone is as fortunate as we are to have made these plans and also saving along the way. I'm sure you're very diligent about saving money and saving,
I could do
well,
better.
we all could
Yeah.
do better.
Yeah.
But I think, it is challenging. It's also for those that don't have the funds or they haven't been good at saving things. I mean, I think, it's something that's very sobering. But, I don't know. It seems like we need to lighten up a little bit about it because we have a plan. We're both very lucky to have that.
Right. And one thing I just thought of when you're talking about that is culturally, it'll be different. There are some cultures where the elder is taken care of no matter what. They move
Yep.
in with the kids or the
Yep.
grandkids, right? They are not left to be on their own or forgotten. But that's not in every culture, right? And so that's something that is hopeful, so that they know that they have a backup. And
Mhm.
with my mom, she's got 4 sons, and it's like, even though she's got plenty of money in the bank, she knows that all 4 of us will drop everything. And I mean, all 3 of us, one lives with her, one lives 10 minutes away, I'm 20 minutes away. One is moving out of state, but it won't be that far away. But, we're all here.
Yes.
And so she's got that safety net of having 4 kids,
Hmm.
right? So that's a blessing that she has, that some people may not have that.
Yes, very true. And I'm sure we've all heard different stories about parents who are estranged from their kids
Right,
or vice versa, which for whatever reason, or don't speak to their family until something
right,
devastating comes along. It's the sad reality of life. Fortunately, it's a little different. I'm married into a family now too, which is interesting
right,
because my family is gone, basically,
right,
just me. So that was interesting, but that was a blessing in disguise too, because I all of a sudden now I have a whole bunch of in-laws and a
right.
father-in-law. The interesting thing about my father-in-law is that he is 88 years old, going to be 89. He is very independent. He has all these kids, and a couple of them, one lives down the street from him. They are all quite close, but he values his independence too. He
Mhm.
doesn't want, and as I think your mother does too, right? She's like, it's great that she's actually doing her thing. And of course, you're a very good son and you visit her all the time. But,
Well,
I think we're very lucky to have these parents or in laws that are actually very mobile, like to be independent and do their own thing, because hopefully that's a projection on us for later in our lives too.
right,
So,
right.
yeah.
So,
But I got to say, the whole process just stoked a lot of emotions and thoughts, and definitely, I don't know how to say it. It's just more thoughts of what's lying before us, what the next step is, because I'm sure you, like me, I've had a few friends that have passed away over the last few years. And I think now as we're getting older, we're going to be hearing more of that, or a family member.
right.
So, I mean, I didn't want this to turn into a Debbie Downer episode, but it's just,
No, I don't think so. I mean, I look at it again, I just go back to that word planning.
hmm
It's just good to have a plan, revisit it, just be smart about it.
yes,
And by doing it over a period of time, you're allowing yourself to, take baby steps so it's financial wise not a big hit all at once, right?
sure.
If I can do it over time and spread out my payments over a year or 18 months, whatever, as opposed to, yeah, you want how much right now? So that gives you peace of mind, I think. Like, you know what, I'm working towards that. So I can, check one of these off the list in May, and I know I have one other thing. These other things I'm doing that I've, made myself a to-do list, all tied into living trust and planning, all that. It's just a checklist of things that are more administrative type things, clerical things that either I never got around to or never thought about. But as I talk to other people or do a little, reading, it was just time to, like, you know what? No time like the present.
You know what this whole thing did for me too? It actually pointed out to me, and I didn't realize this, that I might have left a 401k lying around somewhere. And the reason they came up was because, I worked for these different Swedish companies over the years. And the
Yes.
first Swedish company I worked for, I was like, I don't remember that 401k. And
Wow.
it's interesting, like, oh my gosh, I don't know where that is. And I worked for them for quite a long time. And it's like, I can't believe I completely lost track of that. But, I'm older now. So those things luckily our new financial planner is actually the company that hosts the 401k for that company.
Good, good, good.
So they're going to say, like, by the way, we found this lying on the table. So it's interesting. I think it's funny.
And as you get more things, your assets grow, it just becomes more complicated to keep track of it. I mean, mine is because I have one home, I got two retirement plans, and so it's easy to wrap my head around that. But with you, it's like multiple properties, occasional different jobs. I mean,
Yep.
Do you know how many different 401ks you have?
Let me see. 1, 2, 3. But I think I have 4.
Okay.
And I'm going to roll one over into a Roth, I think, with the company now because it's
Yeah.
just time. But are we going to talk a little bit about financial planning real quick? Or
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
because we talked about this a little bit too. How do you feel and how closely do you follow your financial planning? And I don't mean the statistics of knowing where everything is and how you're invested and everything. Are you one of those people that checks it every month and looks at the statements?
I don't, only because it's a little bit above my pay scale. I don't understand, even when I'm either virtually or in person and my financial person is going over it and reviewing it. I mean, a lot of it just goes in one ear and out the other. It's just because I didn't study that. I don't understand that. I have friends who they know financing really well, and they do that for a living, or they're very on top of it and they know exactly what they're doing. I don't.
Yeah, so it depends. The reason why I brought it up is because luckily the new financial planner we're going with, they work very well with graphics and they can literally press a button and they can show you charts and things that I can understand and see
Yeah.
as opposed to how it works. Because I don't know the mechanics of finances. Stock market and everything like that. But it has made me give pause to how I'm invested going into this phase of my life. And I think we mentioned this very briefly because of the state of the United States right now. There is the potential for inflation to rise a great deal. And I know I didn't really understand this a lot until I started reading about it. And believe me, you can go down so I didn't go too far. But it's one of those things where you say, okay, I'm 100% invested in stock right now. But if inflation does increase or come to a point where it's a problem, the stock market will be affected by that and actually drop. So you might lose money. So there's different scenarios you can create with financial planners to say, okay, I want to have an end date of this, but at this date, I want to pull back my finances or the way they're allocated. So believe me, it's a special science. It's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I trust them to give me the advice, or they might say, in terms of how aggressive do you want to be in your investments? I'd say, I've been saying I'd rather be more aggressive than not,
Yes.
than milder, if you will.
Yep.
So I figured go more aggressive, but I can't tell you I need you to put X in bonds and X
Right.
in stocks and S in mutual funds or whatever the different categories are. I don't know that at all.
Something you just might want to, and just for as an example, what I'm just deliberating with right now is the fact that there is possible volatility in the market. And yes, all of us were really heavy in the stock market because it was making so much money. Cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. Every year was making a lot. And now the projections are actually decreasing a bit with what the stock market will actually end up at for the year. Nobody has a crystal ball.
Well, yeah, no,
Nobody
that's
knows.
for sure.
You can't time the market. It just cannot happen.
Right. And if you're following the guidance of your advisor and they say you should do this and you do it, you can't get mad at them if it doesn't do that,
No.
right? It's like, if this is how the stock market is. It's like nothing is predictable. So if you're willing to take the risk to maybe be more aggressive in your investments, that's one of the prices you may pay, is that you might look at one of them, I get quarterly statements. And the other one, I can go online. I can check either one online whenever I want. I don't actively do that unless I've been doing a lot lately, because I've been putting together some figures and to prepare for my meeting today with my guy.
Sure.
So I did do that. I'm like, oh, from last quarter, this quarter went down $5,000. It's like, oh, it went up. So, but I don't, I can't trust myself because I don't know the information well enough to be able to call them and say, look, sell or whatever.
This is the long game. We're not done playing the game. If you look at the longer term of this, remember 2008 when there was a stock market crash because of the real estate crash that started. That affected everything. And if you look at let's say a 25-year timeline on finances, you probably had a very good rapid growth and then a dip, and it came back. So, and you can't time the market. So I'm not one of those people that does it either. You can't continue to look at a thing, thinking that it's going to tick up or tick down. You'll just go insane watching that. So,
but what I do appreciate now, and I've done a little bit of it, but it's better to do it more now, is, talk about the financial planning so that you can map out, okay, like I said, I think I'm going to work until I'm 67. That's 4.5 years away. But then you've got another 25-ish years of living.
Yep.
So I need to know, is retiring at 67, and when do I start taking Social Security? Because
that too.
The difference between taking it at 67 and 70, in my case, is like an $800 per month difference.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you wait till 70, which is the max, if I start taking 67, it's like it's X amount. But if I wait 3 more years, I'll get $800 more per month than what I've gotten.
But also, maybe, Gary, you're going to enjoy working. Maybe you want to work till you're 83. Who knows? People sometimes continue to work because they enjoy the work, or they find great fulfillment in it. So it doesn't mean you have to stop. And like, none of us has to stop at 60.
Well, the reason why I picked that date, and it's not like a random date, but it's like most people.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Pet dogs.
Are they barking at me?
No, barking at me.
Yeah. The ages that come up for retirement are, the old age was 62, then it's 65, 67, 70. I don't hear about too many people working beyond 70. But in my case, I thought, I'd like to travel, and I don't want to wait until such an age where maybe travel becomes more challenging.
Absolutely.
Right? So if I do 67, and keep on this health journey that I'm on, that's a good thing.
Yes.
But if I keep working and work until I'm in my 70s, then it just makes it a little more challenging. Not that I'll be traveling all the time, but it is something if I can afford to do it and still live comfortably, I want to do.
It's like our friend Evie, who we're both friends with, who decided, I think she retired recently, and she's been on the rainbow tour of going everywhere that she possibly can. And
exactly.
I love her mindset too, because she's like, we're going to travel as long as we can. We're going to travel and see all those things we want to do. So they've
worked hard.
Yes.
And now they're taking advantage of the time to take those trips, because if they wait longer, it is going to become an issue.
I like that for us. I think we should do that and to enjoy. But remember to enjoy this, like we were talking about mortality and everything. But you know what? Let's enjoy right now. Let's enjoy today. Let's enjoy the week, the month, the year, and then focus the fact we got a plan, which is good.
Speaking of planning, now you and I have not had this conversation because you have a partner, but me being a single person, I've talked to another friend of ours who's single, and not jokingly, I mean, we talk about it, but we don't live in the same city, is that maybe at a certain age, we end up combining our resources to live together.
Yes. That's
because financially that would be a help for both people, right?
It's becoming very popular right now. It's there's a lot of I've seen a lot of websites and a couple of pages on communal living and what that looks like. We've always joked about it, like, let's buy a commune in Palm Springs and everyone comes and lives there,
Weren't you going to do that? We're going to rent from you. Wasn't that the plan?
Well, it could still happen.
Okay.
I'm still wanting to be a real estate mogul. It could still happen.
No, because I do see occasionally, either on social media or TV, whatever, the senior living facilities are, for 50 over, 55 and over, whatever, but they're not cheap.
No, they're not. They're not cheap at all, and they're getting more expensive.
And yes, they come with amenities. There's a golf course and a tennis court and a, rec room. And so all these, to keep you all busy, which is great. But when you're on a fixed income, I don't know how people can do it unless they got a hell of a lot more money than I do, which they probably do. So.
Well, this was very interesting. I think, it was a little bit serious, but I think it's more on the hopeful side because of all the plans that we've made, and what's being put down, like we said, on paper to make sure that we're actually secure, which I love,
So I guess the takeaway is, if you have not done some or all of this work planning, start now. Talk to friends who've already done it, or if you know a lawyer or an estate planner, ask questions. There's probably some online things you can look for just to get the information and then act on that. And if you've done it, but it's been a while, it's probably good to revisit it. Maybe things need to be updated. Like, mine was done 14 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's definitely overtime for me to revisit it.
I'm in the same way.
Because it gives you peace of mind, and knowing if you have a plan for the future, whether it's living trust or financial planning, how much money you think you'll have, that's going to benefit you for sure.
Yes. Word to the wise. We know what we're doing. You should do the same. And there's plenty of tools. There's a lot of electronic tools too. You just Google it. Like, how do you think I Googled all my notes today? My highlighted notes. I Googled it.
I did my share of Googling as well.
Right? So it's out there. The information is out there. We just have to follow it through and make a plan. So you ready to shut this one down?
Shut it down. Oh, am I doing it or you doing it?
No, I'll do it.
You do it.
You do it.
I don't want to do it.
Let me do it again. Thanks for joining Don and Gary. We hope you enjoyed the quality of time that we shared as we roll down the alley of life with a bowling ball glued to our thumbs.
That sounds painful.
No, it's not. Don't forget you can find us on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at Pfeiffer Pod Productions, on YouTube at Don and Gary Doin 60. And the Gmail account is
Don and Gary Doin 60 at gmail.com.
Who knew? Now you know. It was good talking with you, Gary.
Good talking with you.
I'm gonna go sign and take a look at my notes and actually sign off on all of my lists now. What am I talking about? I'm yammering.
Okay, you yammer. I'm gonna hang up now.
Okay, bye.
I'll see you next time.
Bye.